Good morning, everyone. This is today's Traders Daily Discipline for Friday, the 22nd of August, 2025. I'm your host, Jason Allen. Thanks for coming. And I've got something intriguing to discuss with you today, and I want to encourage everyone to really take it at face value. This is something that really changed my life and put me on the path to consistent winning in this business years and years and years and years ago. And I want to encourage you to consider the probability that what I'm going to share with you can be life altering if you really think it through. So let's get right to work then. And let's see if we can make the next 5 to 8 minutes truly intriguing. So, what's our quote to get us started today? Well, here it is. Technical analysis is the study of market price action primarily through the use of charts for the purpose of forecasting future price trends. Now, who said that? John Murphy in a book called Technical Analysis of the Financial Markets. And if any of you have a copy of this, my condolences. I use my copy to keep my screen door open in the spring when I want some extra fresh air. Uh, Personally, I think that's about all that book is good for, and that's me. Now, does everybody agree with that? No. But let me just ask you to follow along with me for a few minutes and see if I might be onto something. Technical analysis is the study of market price action for the purpose of forecasting future price trends. In other words, John suggests that we use some method of combining and dividing all the prices in the market that's ever been, all the historical information that we can get our hands on, and use charts and predict or project where price is going to go next. Now, that thought sounds very intriguing and sounds like a science, possibly, doesn't it? Because it's math, it's numbers. Math doesn't lie. Well, there's some interesting things about math that most people who rely on technical analysis and charts are completely ignorant of. And one of them is understanding the use of variables. Now, let me show you something here, because I think you'll find this really, really interesting. I put this question into artificial intelligence. I used Google Gemini. You're welcome to try it yourself. When attempting to solve an equation involving a variable as the solution, in other words, we're going to put out some algorithm, we're going to put out some equation, and the end result is going to be the price. We want to know what the future price is. And according to John Murphy, what we have to do is use some sort of technical analysis to combine and divide all the prices, and it'll give us another price, which is where the market's going next. So when attempting to do that, to solve an equation involving a variable as the solution is what's the next price coming? Can the exact same variable be used inside the calculation to find the solution variable? In other words, if I want to know what the next price is that's coming in the market based on my technical analysis that I'm doing, is it permissible in that calculation to use price in the attempt to find out what the next price is going to be? In other words, can I use price in my calculation to predict where the price might be going next? And here's the answer: no. In standard algebra and mathematical logic, you cannot use the same variable you are solving for within the calculation to find its value. This creates a circular dependency, leading to a logical fallacy known as circular argument or pepitio principia, which means you're arguing in a circle. In other words, technical analysis is founded on an assumption that is not mathematically valid. And that's why it doesn't work. When it appears to work, like half the time you do some kind of calculation and wow, that was a turning point in the market, that's basically luck or accident. That happened there because that's where the order flow was preparing to change from, and it changed from that point. That's order flow change. Has nothing to do with analysis. But it kind of looked that way because the way you did your analysis put you in the market or attempting to get into the market at about the same price point. So the algorithm you used or the analysis you did appeared to have value. It appeared to work there, but it really didn't work there. It was a guesstimate, and it was luck that put it there in the first place. See, that's also it's a logical fallacy. I forget the exact name. We can look it up if you want. When you believe, it's actually now that I think of it, it's the correlation and causation fallacy. Just because two things appear to be equal at some point doesn't mean one causes the other to exist. That's the causation versus correlation fallacy. And that is what technical analysis basically is. It's one big giant causation versus correlation fallacy. It looks like it's working half the time because half the time the market's turning at a point it would have turned at anyway, and the algorithm you're using, the analysis you're using, may happen to be there at the same time. It's actually a circular reasoning. Now, I want to just mention this before closing shop here: is that there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to say this is not true. If this were true, why is everybody using analysis? If it's really based on a logical and mathematical fallacy, why would you do that? Because it sounds so good. It's just like alchemy. Alchemy was taken for a legitimate science all through the Dark Ages into the Renaissance. For almost 1,000 years, people believed you could turn lead into gold, or you could take mercury and turn it into real silver. You had to do certain steps, and you had to do things in order, and there were certain things that needed to be done. And people believed in that lie, that fallacy, for hundreds and hundreds of years. You could even get a degree. There was a school in Amsterdam, Holland, that taught a degree program in alchemy. You could learn everything there was to learn about turning lead into gold without a single person ever having done it, and no one in history before or after ever did it. But you could learn everything there was about it and get a degree in alchemy. Just like you can go online to the Online Trading Academy and get a degree in technical analysis and never make a dime in the markets using it. So I want to really encourage you to take what I've shared with you as a belief system founded on a logical and mathematical fallacy. Now, in fairness to people out there who really believe this crap works, they want to use it under the argument of predictive modeling. And we can talk about predictive modeling next time, but I would just like to encourage you to remember that predictive modeling is doing the exact same thing. It's taking data created by price action in the markets, massaging it around in an attempt to find a probability about where prices might be going next. Never once taking into account things like human behavior, order flow, fear, greed, hope, nothing. It's all based on the numbers. Well, according to the very same tool that these people are using to predict prices, artificial intelligence, it's a mathematical lie. How can that be? So that's it for today, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll be posting my performance for this week on Saturday morning, tomorrow. In between now and then, I would love to have some feedback on what we just talked about for the past 2 days on trading discipline. And the reason I wanted to make sure that the door was open for you is because I'd like to hear what my listeners think of this kind of content. Because I can do a lot of content that would really challenge your point of view. And I'm hoping that's what you want. Have your point of view challenged so you can really learn how this works and make the money that you are destined to make if you really want it. So that being said, I'll let you guys get to work. Have a great weekend too, and I'll see you next Monday. Oh, don't forget to come to my Saturday performance summary, and that'll be posted real early in the morning on Saturday. All right, guys, thanks. Have a great day.